Hi, I'm Reverend Jake Sabe, and welcome to Children's Bible Stories. Alright children, our Bible story for today is going to be the story of Jonathan warns David. Now David was hiding because King Saul had tried to kill him, but he came and met up with King Saul's son, Prince Jonathan. So Prince Jonathan and David were best friends. David was also married to Jonathan's sister, and so they were brothers-in-law, but even besides that, they were just great friends. And Jonathan promised to help look after David. And he said, alright, tomorrow is the new moon feast, and if you're not there, everybody's going to know you're not there. I'll judge my father's reaction to see whether he's okay with that or whether he's still angry at you and seeks to kill you, and then I'll come and let you know. You go and hide in the field, and I'll shoot 3 arrows. And if I say to my servant boy, go and find the arrows, and he goes and looks, and I say, the arrows are right next to you, then everything's fine, you can come home. But if I say to him, the arrows are still a bit further, then you know that it's not okay and you should run away. And so that night, they were at the new moon feast, and Saul noticed that David wasn't there. Saul didn't think much that night. He thought, maybe David's just done something to make himself unclean and he can't come tonight. We'll see him tomorrow night. But then the next night came, and David still wasn't there. And so Saul started to get angry, and he says, where's David? And Jonathan said, oh, sorry, I should have told you. David quickly had to go back to Bethlehem. He said that his clan was holding a special sacrifice to God, and he had to be there for that. So that's why he's not here today. And Saul was enraged. He said, that rebellious and naughty David, how dare he? I'm going to send for him, and he shall be brought to me and put to death. And Jonathan said, but father, why should he be put to death? What has he done? And Saul was so mad, and he picked up his spear, and he hurled it at Jonathan. And Jonathan, whoa! And so Jonathan got up from the table in fierce anger and ate no more food, for he was so grieved for David because his father had so disgraced him. So Jonathan left. And so the next morning, David was out in the field hiding behind a rock. Jonathan came out with his servant boy, and Jonathan had his bow and arrow ready to do some practice shooting, and he shot off 3 arrows. He said, alright, servant boy, can you go collect those arrows for me? So the servant boy ran out. He's like, I don't see them. Where are they? And Jonathan said, they're a little bit further. Keep going. So the servant boy ran off to keep going and get the arrows. And then the servant boy came back and he gave Jonathan his arrows. And when the servant boy was gone, David came out, knowing that this was Jonathan's secret code that Saul was still angry at him and planning to kill him. And so David and Jonathan met, they hugged, and they even kissed, and they cried. And Jonathan said to David, go in peace, because we have sworn both of us in the name of the Lord, saying the Lord shall be between you and me, and between my offspring and your offspring. And so David rose and he departed, and Jonathan went back to the city. And so David and Jonathan were really sad, because they were not only brothers-in-law, but they were best friends. They loved each other. And Jonathan and David kissed each other, not because they were gay, but because in the ancient world, kissing was like hugging or shaking hands, and this was a sign of friendship between the two men. They were close friends. They were best friends. And so they were both really sad now, because since Saul was going to try and kill David, it meant David would have to run away and hide, and Jonathan was going to miss his best friend. And so they were both really sad. And that's our Bible story for today, children. I've been your host, Reverend Jake Zabel. Goodbye and God bless.